The next biggest patch has been revealed, and I cannot wait to dive in. Let's not waste any time. For quality of life, you can now reroll your legendary Prism. The devs note that players can now reroll only the legendary segment on their Prism in addition to rerolling the entire Prism. There's not much else to say, but it's a fantastic change. They also increased the XP gain required to go from 50 to 51, which, whatever. Chef's Medal no longer triggers Empathy Boss Affix, which if you're using that necklace, you'd just not be able to win. Fix an issue where players could see other sessions for boss rush as valid even though they are not joinable. This would result in a connection lost message after attempting to join. Fix an issue where players would not get credit for hardcore or other types of kills on various world bosses. Fix an issue where players could potentially miss trophies for NPCs in the Dark Horizon. The devs state if you receive the appropriate item related to the trophy for Spark, the Custodian, or the Prototype, talking to them again should unlock the related trophy. Fix an issue where players could get stuck in a loop with McCabe when they're trying to get the Great Black Sword. So now players should ask her if it's done, then run outside the warehouse to the World Stone, then return back and ask again. Fix an issue where players would not share in Spark's alloy-related rewards that use quest items. And fix an issue where loading into zones would sometimes swap out handgun for long gun and vice versa. For Archetypes, Engineer. Fix an issue where Impact Cannon was calculating stats at the wrong time and resulting in numerous issues. Yeah, I fucking... I bet, dude. Yeah, I have no idea what they're talking about, not at all. Fix an issue where handler skills could be executed without going on cooldown. And for Invoker, fix an issue where the Prime Perk Visionary was not calculating cooldown reduction properly. So that fixes a shit ton of builds, that's exciting. Moving on to gear and items. For weapons and mods, they clarified the Black Greatsword mod text with Indomitable. The devs note that the max damage is not changed, just a text clarification to represent the actual damage. Fix an issue where Monorail and Redeemer were not scaling correctly. I don't know exactly what that's referring to, if something was doing more damage than the other, but I guess we'll find out. Fix an issue where Starkiller's base damage was incorrect. Fix an issue where the Extender Mutator was not working with Monorail. Fix an issue where Monorail's overcharge shots were not counting as charge shots for sequence shot and closed loop. Fix an issue where Genesis bow projectiles could show up as misaligned for clients with slower connections. Detonator was not proccing correctly when you had Provisioner's Ring equipped, or when you added ammo via the range dummy or the World Stone, so they fixed that. Fix an issue where the Big Bang mod damage, when combined with Power Trip Prism, was scaling damage times 10 instead of the intended times 5 amount. Yes, although it is supposed to scale with extra charges, it was not supposed to scale extra damage, because you can only get up to 25% extra damage, not 50, so that makes sense. Fix an issue where Sorrow's mod Eulogy was not receiving damage buff from Spellweaver or Harmonizer. Fix an issue where the Hypercharger Mutator didn't increase charge melee damage for the Dark Matter Gauntlets while using Darkness Beam. I'm pretty sure I had a build using exactly that, so that's frustrating, but now it's better. Fix an issue where Sealed Resin Loop allowed Monorail recoil animation to be evade cancelled, which, yeah, obviously it's not a melee weapon, so it's only the strongest range weapon in the game. And fix an issue where the Darkness Beam from the Dark Matter Gauntlets persisted after 10 stacks of Rage animation from the Challenger archetype, causing an invisible beam to deal significant damage to enemies. Yeah, I'd imagine that a unlimited Dark Matter Gauntlet beam is pretty good. Almost as good as Way of Keula. Alright, for Trinkets, Mutators, and Relics. Fix an issue where Shiny Hoglore was not giving mod power to long gun mods. Fix an issue where Pressure Point Mutator level 10 bonus was not triggering from Twisted Arbalest mod. Fix an issue where Andaria's loop was not reliably working only while sprinting. Fix an issue where during combat, all quick slot consumables would become unusable if the player had the feeding tube equipped and a value of 0 for the leftmost quick slot item. On a side note, can we please unnerf Confidence Booster, please? Fix an issue where Space Crabs were not dealing the appropriate amount of damage, ooh. And fix an issue where Reaction Chain did not correctly provide the correct amount of mod power to stowed weapons. Okay, so I'm going to be using Reaction Chain and Space Crabs tomorrow. Huge. Okay, now we're going to exactly where I wanted to be. Boss Rush. They've increased the Boss Rush rewards again. So, on Survivor, it would give you 1.0. On Veteran, give you 1.15. On Nightmare, give you 1.25. And then on Apocalypse, it would give you 1.5. But now, on Survivor, it's still 1.0. On Veteran, it's 1.2. On Nightmare, it's 1.5. And on Apocalypse, it's 2x. Oh, that's huge. Oh my god. Finally, dude. Obviously, I was excited about the EXP boost before, but I still felt that Apocalypse could get a little boost. Just a tiny bit more. It always felt bad to kick ass on Apocalypse just to get like 5 Prism levels. But I think that 2x experience is perfect, and I'm excited to see how it works. They've also readjusted Boss Rush scaling for all difficulties. Don't know how that's gonna feel. I don't know if it's gonna make it more difficult. Only one way to find out though. They made some minor balance changes to some aberration affixes. I would hope like waves and maybe even displacer, but how do you balance displacer? It's just a dick. Waves, however, could kick your ass. That's the one that comes out like detonate and then comes back in. So hopefully that's a little tuned down. This is probably the thing I was looking most forward to were the pylon powers. So they increased the damage of Hexer. They increased the effectiveness of the staffs. They added an AoE stat interaction with the lightning pylon. I'm thinking that's the one with the charge attacks. And they increased the detonate pylon power and enabled interaction with explosive scaling. Okay. I would say the weakest out of all of the upgrades were pretty much all of the hacks, which I imagine is not what they wanted or intended. I mean, they called them hacks, they hyped them up. Why would you want them to be the worst one to pick out of the pylons? I am absolutely going to be testing these out tomorrow, like 1,000,000%. Fix an issue where client players can potentially receive scrap as a reward instead of an item if the host already had all the items. Man, they're really killing it with these multiplayer fixes. Fix an issue where players can be pushed off the map while viewing stats at the end of boss rush and need to restart the game. Fix an issue where kill nearby enemies pop-up text was appearing behind the aberration health bar, making it unreadable in boss rush. Fix an issue where sometimes buffs would skip a level when upgraded in boss rush for clients. Fix an issue where when inside the glitch puddle of the boss rush buff trapper, engineer turrets would take damage from the player's puddle. Fix an issue where it was possible for 2 aberrations to spawn in boss rush unintentionally. Oh, that was never intended for multiplayer? Damn. And fix an issue where if Plasma Cutter was used in Annihilation fight in boss rush, potentially the firing sound would persist until fired again. That goes for like 5 other items in the game, but you know. Moving on to enemies. Man, this is a pretty big patch. Fix an issue where Annihilation's orb attack was doing too little damage. Fix an issue where Annihilation's invasion attack was still spawning mines and visual effects upon death. Fix an issue where Red Prince's tribute kill in hardcore mode would leave players stuck in the ground if they had the black cat ring equipped. Damn, that's brutal. Fix an issue where Dran grenades would explode several times when they hit Monolith Sandstorm mod. Shout out Gwendol. Fix an issue where Anguish explosions were not damaging Lydusa. Fix an issue where Ellipsis Toro's reverb laser could remain if the boss transitioned into the final phase during the attack. Fix an issue where the 3 blue homing lasers would fire at a singular point instead of homing in on the player. Fix an issue where Ellipsis Toro could continue to fire the white screen projectiles when it transitioned to the final phase. Fix an issue where the Root Horror would sometimes vanish instead of dying. Fix an issue where the Ravager's ground wave attack was set to the incorrect damage type. Fix an issue where Amalgam would sometimes freeze on the ladder when players drop down the ladder during a chase. I believe the Amalgam is the new Narud enemy. The one that's like poking out of the robot. The purple goo guy. Yeah, that one. Fix an issue where Lydusa's wall phase was lasting too long on higher difficulties. Okay, I mean, I don't see anything about the weak spot glitch in the final DPS phase, which is probably the most problematic. But, you know, step by step, I guess. And fix an issue where in rare circumstances, the Nightweaver could spam her projectile attack even if she had died. This happened to me. Nope, this happened to me. Yep, never forget. That shit was crazy. The UI. Fix an issue where it was not clear that Dream consumables could now only be used in campaign by adding restricted to campaign use only text to description. Fix an issue where Mudtooth Snake Oil cooldown was not updated on the tooltip when using Ring of the Castaway. Fix an issue where the Cotton Kiln was listed as the ethereal manor on the minimap until you died. Okay. Fix an issue where legendary relic fragments didn't have a +1 on their label. Fix an issue where the Void Light descriptions had a misspelling. And fix an issue where the Pirate combo Prism was displaying incorrect colors. This one happened to me all the time for audio. Fix an issue where the Dark Matter Gauntlet's charge loop sound effects could potentially play indefinitely. You had to unequip it and re-equip it to get rid of it, but like it would happen every other time I used it. And fix an issue where the perfect shot sound effect was not audibly falling off correctly. Down to miscellaneous fixes. Fix an issue where sometimes Mudtooth's DLC 1 dialogue would continue to trigger even after completing it. The devs state that we need to forgive Mudtooth because sometimes the stories just take a hold of him. And he can't remember which one he told and which one he hasn't. I mean, I get it, I was Mudtooth once. You know, it's a whole lot of jibber-jabber. Not a lot actually being said. Fix an issue where if players were able to acquire cooking rewards outside of Dwayne's interactions as a client and receive the chef medal from him, having the recipe materials later could potentially cause Dwayne to not correctly update his dialogue. The devs state that all that time over a hot stove hasn't done much for Dwayne's focus or memory. I don't blame him. Fix an issue where the incorrect skybox would sometimes show up in Narud. Fix an issue where players lost access to the meat shake, egg drink, or numbing agent. If they have the correct ingredients to make them, they can now re-engage with Dwayne to restart the quest. Dwayne is always down to cook something, even if he's done it before. The guy loves cooking. Great. Fix an issue where players could get locked in T-pose while doing a melee attack and swapping mods on a slow connection. Ooh. Fix an issue where simulacrums were not spawning in parts of the Dark Horizon. Fix an issue where the medic's jacket could get stuck inside the player's body during certain attacks. Fix an issue where the gunslinger's cape could get stuck inside the player's body during certain attacks. Fix an issue where players could get stuck in statue form after getting backstabbed by a certain character in the Forgotten Kingdom storyline if they have Black Hatband equipped. Man, Black Hatband just like sending you into the Shadow Realm. Fix an issue where after using a skill then throwing, players could potentially be locked in place. Fix an issue where minions would sometimes not correctly zone with the player. They fix collision issues in various locations that allowed the player to get outside of the world or get stuck. And they fix an issue where VFX would sometimes turn off completely. Are we sure? This happens to me every single time I play the game. The VFX just disappears. They've been telling me, they've been working on it for over a year. I guess we'll find out. It better be the case. Straight up, this sounds like another amazing patch. I'm most excited to dive into Boss Rush and try out the new beefed up power pylons, but I must admit I'm surprised the spinning orbs didn't get buffed. I mean, I think I've used them once, but they felt like shit, to be honest. I don't know. Other interactions like Invoker's Prime Perk and Reaction Chain working properly have me pumped to try out new builds. Let me know what you guys are most excited for down below, and make sure to like and subscribe to stay up to date on all things Remnant. Thanks for watching.